Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast by Closers.io where we dive deep into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Amar Elm, and in each episode, we'll uncover the stories behind successful startups, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future expansion. Today, we're excited to have Esra, and she's the CEO and founder of Go Global. She'll be sharing more about her founding story and giving us a glimpse into her plans for future growth. So let's just jump right in. Welcome.
Hi, Amar. How are you?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for asking. How's your day so far?
Yeah, perfect. Happy
Amazing.
to be here today. Yes.
So I always like to start with the end in mind. Take us back from the beginning. What inspired you to start your company? What kind of specific problems did you see in the marketplace that you're looking to solve? What does that look like?
First of all, I've started many companies. I am an entrepreneur. I don't know which one I should start, but I just give you a brief info about myself. First of all, my story begins from coming from US to Europe. And then I saw the potential in the emerging markets in the Middle East, Turkey, and all of the surrounding countries in the 90s. So I said, why not start an e-commerce company back in the 90s after Jeff Bezos launched Amazon? So this is my story started
Wow.
basically. Yeah, and it was the first e-commerce company back in the 90s, towards the end of the 90s. And I was the founder and CEO of that company for 15 years. And I launched my book last summer. You can find it on Amazon.com. So I shared all my story there. But today, if you want, that was a huge story. Everything, it
Yeah.
was at the beginning of the internet, the e-retail, and all this stuff. But later on, I did many things. I started other companies. I was a lecturer at universities. I tried the corporate side. I could only stay resist for 2 years in an investment platform based in San Francisco. I was the chapter president for Turkey again, but I realized that I'm not a corporate person.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
but then in year 2019, during the pandemic, I am Miami based, but I spent a lot of time in Los Angeles and Europe and Middle East because of my work. I travel a lot. So I decided to start Go Global in Miami, which is an emerging market and which
Right.
is a very exciting market. So my expertise comes from emerging markets as being a tech entrepreneur. And I realized that, what my network, what the entrepreneurs I know, investors I know, corporations and institutions I talk to every day, they need a sort of platform where they can join and meet other stakeholders of the tech ecosystems around the world. So that's how my story started basically with Go Global. I I was already in those ecosystems working as an entrepreneur, raising capital, talking to investors or other stakeholders. And I have seen that there were many problems actually when you look at the entrepreneur perspective or investors everybody had different expectations. And what I try to do with Go Global is being a facilitator or a catalyzer, however we want to call it, but to make things easier for everyone to work together, to collaborate together, and to create a positive impact, because I believe that part is very important to me, because after 25 plus years of being an entrepreneur in this ecosystem, global ecosystem, I realized especially during the pandemic, that the world needs more than raising capital for startups and mentioning that, and not and just leave the world like it is. We need to do something more than that, which was, I realized that ESG principles are super important. Those environmental, social, and governance issues are important. It's not just a buzzword there, but we have to understand, be aware of what's going on around us. There are so many problems in the world today, especially after the pandemic. So I said, startups need to integrate those principles early on to their
Yep.
businesses so that they knowing that and executing their companies with that awareness, it will make the world a much better place because we will be aware of what we're doing, how we can do things better.
Yeah.
So this I was my mission, and this is the core of Go Global. And we started working with companies, startups from around the world. But although we are very picky when it comes to scouting startups, because we want to see that vision, first of all, founders. And yeah, this is basically what it is, what
Yeah.
it's an idea. Yeah.
I love that. I appreciate you sharing that synopsis because I can tell that you've done a lot of different things. You've been in a lot of different worlds, you've had your hands in a lot of different pies, and that gives you a world of experience to do what you're doing right now, which is working with startups. I know you've been around for 5 years now, Go Global, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, over 5 years. Can you
Yeah.
walk me through your offer evolution? Like what it is that you offer the people that you work with and what that looks like and how it's evolved over time to where it is today.
Yeah, first of all, Amar, the thing is this. I didn't start at an advisory company when I graduated from university or at the beginning of my
Yeah.
career. I think being an advisor for me was something very aligned with my personal experience, with my personal awareness, and with knowing what's really going on in the ecosystem that I wanted to create a difference.
Mm.
So without knowing those, I don't think that it can work. So this was my advantage when I started Go Global. I already had a network of people, entrepreneurs, all of this that I listed before, like all the stakeholders,
Yep.
institutions, universe, all of them. I had a connection, and better, I worked with them. So I knew what were the problems. The same with entrepreneurs. I can identify a lot of problems with from my experience as well. And I'm a global person living in the US and between US and
Yeah,
Europe. And so it makes a lot of this difference, first of all, that. And
for sure.
collaboration. I'm a person of collaboration. I never built anything just
By
on my
yourself.
own.
Yeah.
I always did partnered with other people and benefited from their experience, their knowledge, their network. And this was also true for Go Global. So when we started, I knew that I want to be active in 7 leading startup ecosystems, that meaning that 7 cities that entrepreneurship and the ecosystem, which are Miami, Los Angeles, which I know well, and
Yep.
also Tel Aviv, Dubai, London. And later on, we started to explore Saudi Arabia, for example. It's very interesting. And also Balkan countries,
Yeah.
Northern Europe, all this little by little. So it was a huge work, of course, but we benefited the pandemic. When everything stopped in the pandemic, we had a lot of calls, a lot of Zoom calls, and we connected to many people. So it was a year of preparation, introducing our mission and inviting people
Yep.
to work with us, etc. I invested in that by my time and by also my capital. I put it because you have to travel a lot. It's not like you can sit in your office or
No.
at home and remotely you can control everything. It really doesn't work that way. So after the pandemic, me and my colleagues, we have participated to as many summits as possible around the world. The ones, that
The
are
big ones. Yeah, the ones
the
that make sense.
one. So to, and we always prepared ourselves before the summit. So who we want to meet,
Yeah.
making appointments. And so we were always very well prepared to do that. And also participating to podcasts and YouTube videos and being a guest. It also helped a lot because you can really explain yourself through these channels. This was also great. And I think creating content also was very important. By
Okay.
creating content, I don't mean that posting something every day, but useful content, what we are doing, how we are working with startups or investors, or what are our case studies, things that really we can share, concrete cases
I
that
get
we
what
can.
you mean. Yeah, yeah. Valuable content that you're putting out there.
Exactly. So people, it gets their attention because otherwise, when you talk what everyone else is already talking, and if it's like general perspective, it doesn't help that much.
Yeah.
People, they want to see concrete success stories like we did this and this is what happened. Our focus, maybe I forgot to say, our focus was late seed pre-Series A companies, like when
Yeah.
their product was on the market and they were invoicing and there was attraction. It was the time when they become our clients when they needed to grow, to scale, or to expand their
Got it.
solutions.
Growth
Uh,
and expand.
exactly. This is so our relationship with our clients usually long-term relationship. So this is why if they're satisfied, usually they are because we work hands-on with them. It's not like we suggest you do this and then that's it. It's not like that.
Like, do you
So
mean
it's
you're there to help with the actual implementation of whatever you suggest?
like a team player, someone from their team. And at the beginning, I get a lot of comments of every time I start a new business. You know what I do? I always talk to other people and get their feedback, sometimes support. And so a lot of people said that there are a lot of advisory consultancy companies also consulting startups and our audience at Go Global. But the thing that I saw, and to me it was an opportunity. What they do, they don't want to spend too much time with those companies. It's like they want to see that they attribute 1 or 2 sessions monthly and then that's it kind of thing.
Yeah.
But what I know, it's startups. Every day is a challenge for them, and we play it differently. Of course, it's not the easy way. It's very difficult. It's you're working for them kind of
Of
thing.
course, yeah. I'm curious, does that limit your capacity in terms of how many people you could work with at a time?
No, and that's what also puts us in a different line. Because when I started Go Global, I knew that I want to be niche and I want to be a boutique, a small business. Because although I don't know all the industries. I don't know. I lack of technical knowledge, all of these things. But what I know, that I know how to create a strategy for a startup and how to execute and how to do the right follow-up and all of this. And I said, let's have 3, 4 companies yearly and let's focus on them. And I want to take care of them, each one of
Okay.
them.
Wow. So
Uh, you
three,
know,
just 3 to 4 companies a year is what you want to focus on. So it's very targeted. Where are you at right now in terms of 2025? Do you have the 3 to 4 companies or?
Yes, it's what our success come from, Amar. I think I managed to convince people that what we're doing, by people, I mean my colleagues, we have local partners in each ecosystem. By local partners, people who know those culture, their local regulations, the culture of that population, of that country, of that city, everything they know because they've been executing there for years. To collaborate with them, by collaborating with them, it was really a shortcut cut for us. Sometimes they do the scouting, sometimes we do scouting, but at the end of the day, the idea is to scale them and to help them to get into the markets that they are not familiar with. And in that sense, when you scale a company, you are rewarded for that financially as well, because they make money, so you make money.
Okay, so is it just to help me and the listeners understand, how does Go Global generate revenue? Is it a percentage? Do you charge a fee on top of percentages? What does that look like?
Exactly. I think this is also another story. Usually, advisors, consultants, they underestimate their services. Like in terms of getting clients, they compromise a lot of things and they underestimate what they do. Usually, this is what I know. And at Go Global, I said from day one, look, this is who I am. If you go and make a search on any Google or whatever browser you are using or search engine, you can see what I have done as an entrepreneur, as a corporate person, as a volunteer. And this is who I am, and this is my platform. And at my website, everything is very transparent. I have all my colleagues listed there with their LinkedIn profile. All of our corporate partners are listed there. Everything is very transparent. Our clients,
Yeah,
everything is there.
for sure.
What I'm trying to say, everything is there. And if you are not convinced to pay us a retainer fee, it's your problem. So we
Okay,
charge
so just so I'm clear, it's a retainer fee plus a percentage.
plus, yeah, because if we bring in capital, which changes everything for that company, or if we bring in a big client like a
The value
corporation.
proposition is definitely there. If somebody doesn't see it, like you said, it's their problem. So I completely understand that part. Do you want to expand beyond just being able to help 3 to 4 companies a year? What's your vision for the company, let's say over the next 12 months?
Yeah, this is for the last 2 years, what we are doing. Four companies, as I mentioned, is for it's the performance of Go Global alone. But if we add our performance with our local partners, it's maybe you have to multiply this by 10. The thing is this, we are active in 7 ecosystems. Imagine we have partners in London, local partners, and they have also 10 portfolio companies that they can share with us yearly. And in the same thing in Los Angeles, the same thing in Miami, the same thing in Dubai. And but what happens when we work with them? So it doesn't take all of our time. I trust on their expertise because this is what they do as well. This way, we are growing, yes.
Yeah.
But if you ask me as Esra alone and my core team, we are not able to take more than 3, 4 companies. This is what we do. If we are
Got it.
the only ones,
Yeah. And right
focus.
now, if anybody's listening to this in 2025, you have no more space left for this year. Is that correct?
Yeah, we no, it depends. Sometimes this is what happens. Sometimes we say if a company does not excite us, so we say we don't have to work with anyone. It can be only one company, and we can focus completely on that company. Do you understand what I'm after so many years?
Yeah, but do you get why I'm asking though? I'm asking because let's say somebody's listening to this in
Yeah.
2 months, 1 month, whatever, and they're like, oh, like I want to reach out to Esra, but I don't know if they have capacity. Should they just reach out to you anyways and just see what
Let's reach
happens?
out. Maybe we like maybe they doing something really
Exciting. Yeah.
exciting and we
I'm
can
curious
create
then.
that extra
Cut you off.
space. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I love that. I'm super curious though. When you are attracting these companies, is it mainly word of mouth, referrals? Do you have some sort of lead generation mechanism? What does that look like?
Um, this is usually a referral, and it comes from our through our local partners or through people that we know, other entrepreneurs. The ones that we work with, they invite other people, refer us to other people. Because in our industry, in the startup business, you are working with investors, you are working with many people, and
Mm.
my reputation is super important to me. So I want to be fair and honest, and I want to give this the comfort of working with us to other people. So it is very important. So when I don't know this person, or if I don't know, if we don't have any common connections, I question a lot actually. Who
I
are
get
these?
what you mean. So you don't really love cold traffic. If it's more warm or hot traffic, it helps you a little bit more. And I guess
Yeah,
that's not the biggest deal for you guys because you can't help everybody, right? You have to be very limited in your focus. That way you can truly help them grow, expand, and scale.
we can help in strategy wise, yes, but usually think the 90% of the startups, they need capital at one time. And we have a network of investors on the other side. And I think the world is changing and we don't have so much capital, especially in some regions. There is no abundance of capital, and we have to be very careful when using this capital. It has to really go to the right solutions and not just, we don't have the luxury to waste that capital. So I am being super careful on that to also make investors happy in that sense, because it's not 20 years ago, burn that cash and you're going to learn out of it and you're going to
Yeah, yeah.
burn again. It's those times are over. And now we have to be really careful and we have to be picky in a sense. So if some entrepreneurs are also listening to us, it's not, they have to be careful, really focus on what the world needs today. Amar, this is very important so they can create better solutions, because the capital is here, but that capital is looking for some specific solutions. So
Mhm.
they should not underestimate that, and
Yeah.
maybe creating to be closer to the capital, they have to work on this. As I said, it's important. I feel responsible to our investors, to institutions, to everyone, as I feel responsible to the entrepreneurs. So I try to be careful in that sense.
Yeah. No, that's super great advice. It's very important to see what's going on in the world. And obviously you did that back in 2020 or 2019, right before COVID happened. I'm curious, if you had unlimited resources, right? Resources were not an issue. You could bring on more team members, you could bring on more capital, you could help more startups. Where would you allocate those resources? What would you implement immediately or change in the company if resources weren't an issue?
I probably use it. I do a lot of spin-offs, like from Go Global in the different verticals, because Amar, it might sound maybe different, but I like to execute. And what I like, the best part of creating a business for me, it's the early years. And I am good at this. So when something grows too big and it becomes a huge corporation, I know the problems that will come with it. Maybe we will. So I like to keep it fresh. I like to keep the motivation high. So I will create spin-offs around it in different verticals, probably. And maybe what I can do, I can sell those to use this capital smartly to the right people who can grow those businesses. But what I like, I'm a first mover. I was always like to lead. I like disruption. I like challenges. I am that kind of person.
Mm.
When something becomes like routine,
Stagnant. Yeah.
that I don't really like that much. So this is what makes me motivated. Probably I will use that money. I will definitely create a fund. That's for sure. And that's a great power because right now, even though I like a company because we don't have a fund at Go Global, we have to work with other funds, other VCs, other people's money. Of course, we depend on what they want to do, where they want to invest, and that kind of stuff. Creating funds where I believe is most needed, it would be also one of my priorities to spend that money.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. I love that. Let's go into the lightning round. I'm just gonna shoot some questions off you, so give me quick answers, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay?
Okay.
What's one tool or resource that's been game changing for you on your journey?
What do you mean by a technical source?
It could be a technical, it could be a mental paradigm, it could be anything that was game changing for you on your entrepreneurial journey, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
whatever.
I think confidence, my personal confidence is the biggest game changer, Amar, because if you are an entrepreneur, you get a lot of criticism, and that was a game changer for me. I always had this confidence in me, whatever they say, I just kept doing what I'm doing.
Good for you. Good for you. How did you not let that affect you? Because that's not easy. Most people would crumble, right?
I always say that not everyone can be an entrepreneur. Not everyone can guide others. Not everyone can lead others. I think I had this in my character somehow. And over the years, I worked on it and I learned, Amar. You don't born with this, with all of these features like a machine. You're a human being, of course, but in time you learn. The only thing that I do well in times of trouble or emotional exhaust, when I get exhausted, it's to focus on my work and close myself to the outside world. I focus on my work, and the best answer each time I see and I experience this, it's to answer people to with what I do, what I succeeded to do, all of this during my career.
Yeah.
People can read all of it in my book, actually. It's free on Amazon. They can download it and read it. So they will see. I cannot summarize that in a
Yeah. Of
few sentences. It's a whole 15 years.
course. Yeah, yeah.
It's not easy. Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes is confidence comes from competence. So the
Yeah.
more experiences you have, the more successes you have, the more your confidence increases over time. And that's probably one of the best things to focus on instead of trying to fake it, actually getting good at something and getting results. It's the best way to have confidence that's everlasting. Now,
Exactly, because otherwise you're not convincing. If you just talk, even though you can have a great education, but if you haven't achieved anything in your area, people question you. And yeah, I think
yeah.
that's important.
What's the best piece of advice you'd give someone about scaling a business?
Timing. Timing is very important. People sometimes they underestimate this. You have to know what's growth, how it is different from scaling, and what's scaling, what's expansion. It's not like I'm making some money and now it's time for me to scale. You need to have a roadmap in front of you. And you have to have a goal. It's important, but technically there are some points where you have to check and then you can say it's time for me to scale. I'm ready to
Mhm.
scale.
Yeah,
And otherwise, it doesn't make sense. You cannot just say, I'm going to scale. It's the right time for me. But you have to have the right data in front of you that tell you that now it's time for you to
yeah.
scale.
I love that. What advice would you give to founders who are just starting their journey?
I think experience is important, Amar. I see a lot of young entrepreneurs because when we say entrepreneur, it's a very general term. There are a lot of different type of entrepreneurs, seasoned entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, minorities, and there are a lot of immigrants, and we have to know what we're talking about. But knowing what you're doing and having a purpose is the first thing. It's important. Having confidence is also important, but also you have to be good enough to have a team. The first few people who will believe in you and believe in your vision. That's the first thing. I mean, if a founder can achieve that, I see this as a success, as a parameter of a success, because it's important, because you cannot pay them much, and they're there because they believe in you and they believe in your vision. That's one thing. But also those people have to have some talents that you don't have. If you have a network, one of them, they need to have the knowledge, or the other one should have the money. You should complement each other. That's super important because otherwise something will always be missing, especially at the early stage. This is very important. When you have all this, it gives you more than 50% chance of succeeding. That's for sure. This
Amazing.
is what I have experienced. Yes.
Yeah, I love that. And thank you so much for coming on and sharing all of that with us. I'm sure
Of
it's
course.
been a wealth of knowledge for me, and I'm sure the listeners are going to get a lot of value. So that wraps up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. I want to thank Esra for sharing her incredible journey and insights with us today. To our listeners, if you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future via wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can also find more resources and insights at closers.io, where we're dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their sales and marketing efforts through world-class systems and playbooks. Until then, keep climbing, and we'll see you on the next one.